Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Monday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and early, 6 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right, I was in the middle of my workout and something, as usual, got stuck in my head. And once again, I've had to stop in the middle of my workout and I'm going to make this video. What got stuck in my head was the understanding. After reading a few articles, the understanding that Trump's defense team for his impeachment, one of his defenses is using actual videotape, like of Maxine Waters and a few other people, in what I call whataboutism, saying that Maxine Waters condoned, incited. I don't know what they're going to say with the protests that went on this summer with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, etc. And as using that as a defense, I guess, as to why Donald Trump shouldn't be impeached, I guess. This drives me crazy now. This is what I call whataboutism. I don't even understand how this. I don't understand how any grown adult could even use this as an argument, let alone somebody who's supposedly a legal professional. To me, it's something you see in kindergarten or in elementary school. You know, well, Johnny stole cookies last week, so why are you grounding me? You know, he did it too. You know, that whataboutism. All right. The way I look at it, okay, if these people, if these defense lawyers of Trump's or conservatives or whatever, if they actually think that Maxine Waters did something illegal, something that incited a riot, I don't think in any way, shape, or form that Donald Trump should get off from it. What it says to me is if they think she did something wrong, then it is, I don't agree with it, but it would be their right to impeach her, censure her, or whatever they deem necessary. If they're going to stand here and look back and say, well, she got away with this, then I would say that somebody dropped the ball then. If they're saying she should have been called on the carpet, taken to task for what she did this summer, then somebody dropped the ball. And if they want to go back and censure her now or impeach her or whatever, that's their prerogative. I don't agree with it, but that's their prerogative. But to use it as an excuse to say, well, my client, look what she did. You know, why should my client get in trouble for it? That's just, it's so juvenile. I can't believe it. A lawyer is actually using this as an excuse. So I tried, there's so much to each of these situations. What happened this summer? What happened on January 6th? And I was trying to sort it out in my head. I was trying to make an argument, and honestly, I stopped the video a few times because I know that Trump supporters just won't listen. When I tell them that their argument, for instance, I would say that the reason these protests were initiated in the first place is because a certain group of people's personal rights were violated. Their lives were taken. George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. And that led to outrage that people were getting away with this and protests. All right, that's the chain as I see it. It started with a perceived injustice. Now, looking at the other way around with the Trump situation. What if Donald Trump, now 6 months or so before the election, Trump started saying, well, if I lose, it's going to be because the election was rigged. If I win, that'll be fine. But if I lose, he's saying there's absolutely no way he could lose. Because his rallies, because Trump flags, and because Trump supporters are big, loud people, and they think the whole country believes the way they do. Okay, so it started with him 6 months ago saying that if this happens, your votes are going to be stolen. It was him, his voicing these things. What if he never said that? Would people, in the election came and he lost, but if he didn't say that the election was rigged, and by the way, there's no evidence. There is no evidence whatsoever. Every case was thrown out of court by Trump's own appointed lawyers, over 60 times. His own attorney general, and so on, and so on. And now you guys can make up all the conspiracy theories you want on this. There's no evidence, all right? So if he hadn't said something, if he hadn't started this whole thing out of his narcissistic tendencies, because he was fearful of losing, obviously. So he had to set up the scenario. He was scared that he might lose. So he started this situation saying, well, if I lose, I didn't really lose. You know, I mean, it's to me, it's obvious. To a lot of people in this country, it's obvious, the chain of events. But what if he didn't say that? What if he never started that whole thing? What if he just campaigned back and forth with Joe Biden up to the election? He lost, same amount, same situation. Would people have freaked out and said, that's it, my votes were stolen? Or even worse than that, would they have gone to the Capitol? No. I don't believe that for a second. I don't know. There might have been little pockets here and there that would have complained or maybe asked for a recount or this or that. But without a doubt, the instigation, the whole inciting, this whole thing from beginning to gathering to end, he was a catalyst, without a doubt. It wasn't the events or even perceived event, the perceived fraudulent election. He was the catalyst. That's a big situation, the difference between the two. These people, these misled people, would have never believed, and not only were they told that this was being stolen from them, but their country was being stolen from them, and they have to fight like hell. And it was pounded into their head over and over. And not only that, they were told by him to gather that it's going to be a this and that, and you have to be there. If you're with me, you're going to be there. And then at the actual gathering, the thing that freaks me out the most, and this is just a personal opinion, but where Trump's big eyeballs, the cutout, these things, man, if that didn't scream 1930s Germany, dictatorial state, I don't know what did. I don't know how Trump supporters could have seen the Trump glare looking down at that whole bunch of Capitol supporters, the people at the Capitol that day, and how they, unless they actually enjoy that nationalistic authoritarian feeling, if they do, I don't get it. But there's so much more I could argue about this. In one case, I don't condone violence in any way, shape, or form. Okay, whether it was things getting out of hand and cars, buildings being attacked and worse in Portland and whatnot, or if it was the Capitol. But when you look at the Capitol, you look at the historic relevance of this building and how this was seen across the entire world, and how this group of people who profess themselves to be all about law and order are captured on film, striking. And now there's up to they say up to 40 Capitol police officers that were injured that day, broken thumbs, people that might lose their sight. And I see from the right, I see people defense saying that, well, maybe that police officer didn't really die from the fire extinguisher. Maybe, I think it was a cardiac arrest. I mean, does it make a difference? You guys all see, and you see that bear spray, and you see them dragging these guys out. You see a mob of thousands that had gathered there at the express invitation of Donald Trump, dragging police officers out of the building. And you saw what occurred. And this happening with actual flags and flagpoles too. The hideousness of that is just unbelievable. All right? So you have the mob overwhelming this small Capitol Police force. On the other hand, this summer, you see what I call jackbooted thugs in nondescript vans pulling up and grabbing people and throwing them into custody, never explaining who they are or what they're being arrested for. Like I said, I don't condone the violence on either side. But to me, there's a clear difference between the two. One was a valid expression of outrage because of people's civil rights being violated. And you can't argue that. If you're going to sit here and argue that George Floyd, that was okay, that Ahmaud Arbery, that was okay, that Breonna Taylor, that was okay, man, then you and me have nothing in common. And then you have the situation with Trump, where people were misled. There is no valid evidence that these things were even true. None. And you have him inciting this. He was the catalyst for this. If not for him starting this 6 months ago, bringing it up and saying, if I don't win in 6 months from now, that election will be fraudulent and stolen from me. And people believed it. He was the catalyst. On the other side, the catalyst was people's civil rights and their lives being taken. And the outrage that nobody was being held accountable for that. A very real situation. You can't deny that didn't happen. We see it with our own eyes, with George Floyd, with Ahmaud Arbery. The evidence is right there. It was outrage. Now, again, I don't condone the violence on either side, but they're two clearly different situations. And this whataboutism, leave it in the elementary school, leave it in kindergarten, because it certainly doesn't belong in a court. Just my thoughts. You guys have a good Monday.